People-pleasing. It looks harmless. It sounds kind. It wears the mask of humility. But underneath, it's a prison. A silent surrender of identity for the sake of acceptance. You give, not from freedom, but from fear. You love, not from wholeness, but from the hope you won't be left behind. You say yes when you mean no. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You smile to keep peace even while your heart breaks. And slowly, you forget who you are, because all you've learned to be is what others want. But God never called you to live for their approval. Galatians 1:10. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. That's strong. Paul says you can't serve Christ and serve opinions. One will always lead. One will always shape your decisions. People-pleasing makes you a slave, not to Christ, but to perception. Proverbs 29:25. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. People-pleasing is rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. So you bend, you shrink, you perform. But the more you give, the more they expect. And before long, you're exhausted. Because you weren't created to carry their expectations. You were created to carry His image. Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in His own image. The danger of people-pleasing isn't just burnout. It's compromise. When you live for their approval, you start betraying your own convictions. You drift from the mission. You begin editing your faith, trimming your truth, avoiding confrontation, not for peace, but for popularity. You water down truth so it won't offend. You lower your standards so you're not alone. You hide your faith to avoid criticism. You overextend yourself to feel needed. But being needed is not the same as being known. But Jesus never did that. John 5:41. I do not accept glory from human beings. Jesus was not led by applause. He was led by purpose. Even when people loved Him, He stayed rooted in the Father. Even when they rejected Him, He didn't bend. His identity came from above, not from the crowd. You were made to live like that, free from the constant pull of others' opinions. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from being renewed, recentered, reclaimed by truth. You don't need to lose yourself to love people. God's love isn't manipulative. It doesn't pressure you to perform. It invites you to rest. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. If the way you're living is constantly draining you, it might not be obedience. It might be people-pleasing. God isn't asking you to be everything to everyone. He's asking you to be faithful to Him. Colossians 1:10. Live a life worthy of the Lord and please Him in every way. People-pleasing always begins where identity is unsure. If you don't know who you are, you'll become who others want you to be. You'll shape-shift into acceptance. But that kind of acceptance is not love. It's performance. The Bible doesn't leave your identity unclear. Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. You are His handiwork, His design, His intention. You don't need their validation to confirm your value. God already declared it. Isaiah 43. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. You are already chosen, already loved, already seen. Nothing you do can earn what God has already freely given. But people-pleasing makes you forget that. It whispers, be more, do more, prove more. And soon, your sense of self becomes tied to someone else's reaction. You shrink your voice. You dull your light. You become someone you're not, all to avoid the feeling of disapproval. God's voice gets drowned out by the noise of the crowd. But Jesus, he never chased the crowd. He served people, yes. But he served them from a place of identity, not insecurity. John 13:3-4. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, so he got up and began to wash his disciples' feet. He served because he knew who he was, not to prove it. You're not here to prove yourself. You're here to reflect Christ. And reflecting Christ doesn't always make people happy, but it will make you holy. 1 Thessalonians 1:2-4. We are not trying to please people but God, who tests our hearts. God looks at your motive. He sees what no one else does, and he values obedience over performance. Living for God's approval doesn't mean being rude, selfish, or harsh. It means being honest, being steady, being faithful to what he's told you, even when others don't understand. It means saying no without guilt, speaking truth with love, setting boundaries that protect your peace, choosing conviction over comfort, choosing calling over convenience. Jesus did all of that, and you can too. You don't have to please everyone, just the one who made you. Galatians 5:13. Do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Service without slavery. That's the balance God calls you to. The cure for people-pleasing isn't apathy, it's surrender. Not to people, but to God. Psalm 37:5. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will do this. You don't have to be everyone's answer. You just need to follow the one who is. Your worth isn't in how many people approve of you. It's in who created you, redeemed you, and walks with you. Colossians 3:23-24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. When you live like that, for God's glory instead of human praise, you find freedom. You start living with clarity, with integrity, with joy. Freedom to be authentic, freedom to be bold, freedom to live in peace, not performance. Galatians 5. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. People-pleasing is a yoke. It will weigh you down until you can't hear God's voice over the crowd. But when you choose him, fully, freely, you begin to live lighter. Your yes becomes more powerful. Your no becomes more peaceful. And best of all, your heart becomes more aligned with heaven. Matthew 6:33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. You don't have to seek their approval anymore. Seek him and let him be enough. Because in the end, the one who created you is the only one whose opinion defines you. Hebrews 10:35-36. So do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. Live for his well done, not their applause.